in this little video of mine, I would like to share you guys my latest essay on a subject that has been very important for me for some time past. I am an aspiring filmmaker. I also strive on writing poetry, and I sometimes experiment with drawing and painting pictures. The main subject of my essay is psychotherapy and art therapy in terms of the postmodern art form. So I would like this subject, the so-called creative urge emerging from people living with mental health issues, to be analyzed from a more universal point of view, relating. So I would like to relate the art therapy and whether it is capable of curing or dampening or even seizing the mental health problems. I would like to relate it to the non-pathological postmodern art form. So to cut a long story short, this was just a little introduction before my essay, my range of thought. Let me start reading it. So the title of my essay is called Deconstructing the postmodern art form in terms of art therapy. It's undeniable that the creative urge emerging from the mind of people living with mental health problems or with mental health issues has always been a place of interdisciplinarity. And when you think about interdisciplinarity, has always been very significant factor and crucial when the two main factors like science, like medicine, or the practice itself. By practice, I mean creating art, a patient creating a work of art. Or philosophy and art. It's to deal with this subject, you have to always take interdisciplinarity into consideration. So science and art therapy, the main focus on this subject concerning the postmodern art, has always been very close to each other in terms of the question whether art is capable of dampening the symptoms or even seizing the symptoms of mental health issues like depression or bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, or substance abuse disorder, and so on and so on. So it begs the question whether it is capable. Professional people of science, of medicine, has been using this tactic or practice on patients for many for some time past, for over 50 years, to my knowledge. It's evident and obvious recognition for one's mind, for your or my conscience, that art, and whether it be visual art like a bipolar or depressive patient drawing pictures, or whether it be poetry or just writing, in the style of a diary, can be very calming for the patient, and it has an impact. Of course, it's obvious and evident on his or her psychological well-being, which is very suggestive, and begs the question of recovery, true recovery. After all, art and art therapy has evolved from not just the point of view from its creator, the artist, but also the receiver of the artwork. So there is a community, there is a collectivity between the two factor, the two people, the artist and of course the receiver of the artist. So it has an impact on one's mind. It's a collective impact. So art is very significant in psychiatry and psychology. because it creates a collective collaboration between the doctor and the patient. But as in the beginning of the video, I mentioned that I wanted this subject to be analyzed on a more universal subject. Non-pathological art is the same too. It's non-pathological art is also a collective conscience. It creates a collective conscience and defines our society, and it's more abiding and more important than consumerism, for example, or empty empty way of living. So, and it's more important and more significant to have a intelligent and striving for a sense of collectivism between people, because I am myself a religious man, and happy Easter, of course, and I would like to state that community is the most important part of our lives, because we all want to belong to someone. And a psychiatry patient who is suffering from depression or bipolar disorder is no exception as well. We all want to be loved, So, getting back to the subject of my essay, it is collective. Collective, and I will quote C.G. Jung, who in one of his most important books stated the importance of collectivity. But now, returning to the deconstruction of the postmodern, it's very crucial that the universal art theorists have been studying, not just the doctors, but also art theorists have been studying the work of Gadamer and hermeneutology. So hermeneutology became, in the 20th century, the most important way of understanding and receiving a work of art, and interpreting it, and giving an interpretation from it. So hermeneutology is a non-pathological way of understanding a painting, a poem, a novel, a sculpture, or anything, that is a work of art. But the postmodern art form changed everything. We had heard of the so-called anti-art, and I would like to mention artists like Marcel Duchamp or Andy Warhol, who said that they stated that everything became art, and art ceases to be of magnificent value because everything had become art. Even a can of a can of tomato soup, the one of Warhol's famous artwork. So the postmodern is deconstructed, has deconstructed the way we viewed art itself, and it's a sad thought, but it connected to consumerism as well. And that is something that I think, in my opinion, that is the conclusion of my video, that the postmodern art form transformed this sacred collectivity into a consumerism kind of collectivity, and this kind of collectivity led to in my opinion, artworks that are not really that important, that significant or valuable. So I don't like Andy Warhol, and I don't like Marcel Duchamp in relating to deconstructing our society and art form. And of course I have to mention Derrida, who was a famous philosopher who dealt with the subject, and Danto, Artusi Danto, who begged the question whether art had already died. And it's a sad thought, really. And this deconstruction idea by Derrida and Danto got connected to the main subject, art therapy. And the patient's works are sometimes not, abiding or real art. You sometimes, I have to admit, you can't call it real of art of real value. So it's very connected to the sad ideologies of the 20th century by Danto and Derrida, that art ceased to be what it used to be. So I think we should get back to the main factors of our life as a artist, to provide value, hope, and of course collectivity and community with the work of art that you've been given, this gift, this talent you've been given by God. So that's my video. I think art is capable of seizing mental health problems, and it's a sad thing that the 20th century is ideologies connected to consumerism, which I loathe.